Hello, everyone. Welcome to my Q&A this month. This month, we're specifically talking about Hawaii and the Hawaiian cruise that's coming up in August. Um, I have in the green room behind me uh, Sissy from Hawaii, Ray and John from RG Travels, and let me just bring them all on board here. Let's bring all four of us on at once. You can all say hi if everybody knows who you are.
Hello.
Sissy, you're coming to us from Honolulu.
Yes, aloha from Hawaii, Honolulu, Oahu.
And Ray, you're coming to us from Florida.
Yes, from Port St. Lucie, Florida.
And John, you're not coming. You're coming from Florida too.
Same place.
So back a couple of years, I guess it was last year, Sissy, when I interviewed you on Karen's Quilt Circle, I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if we could have a Hawaiian quilting class with you in Hawaii? And I am so glad that you were just as keen with this idea as I am. Now, we are going to be teaching, well, not we, you are going to be teaching a Hawaiian quilting class in the days before the cruise itself. Could you talk a little bit more about the class?
Yeah, our actual class meets every Saturdays. Finally found a venue after COVID, and we meet for about 2.5 hours. And so, if you decide to come over here and be part of this amazing cruise and class, we're going to be teaching actually one whole day. And we're going to be going through the history. We're going to have some quilts there for display. We want to go through the different stories of the quilts and to get a really hands-on experience here in Hawaii, especially in the islands. I was born and raised here. It is the best place to learn Hawaiian quilting, and it's where it started. So it's amazing class. We've never had complaints about it. In fact, people keep coming back, which we want them to, and we also want them to take part of Hawaii when they leave, and know that once you come here, you are part of our community, part of our people, part of our family. And so I think the classes are amazing, absolutely wonderful, every step that we take you through.
Excellent. So let me bring on John and Ray and John. And Ray, are you going to talk a little bit more about the cruise?
Sure, absolutely. It'll be the first time, you were on Celebrity twice right now, so this is the first time that we're going to be on Norwegian Cruise Lines. Norwegian Cruise Line is the only cruise line that is allowed to cruise amongst the islands, visiting majority of the islands, to include Kauai, which the ones that come from the west coast of the US or Canada, they don't go up all the way to Kauai. They always seem to miss that one out. Now, the ship is called the Norwegian Pride of America.
I actually have a photo. I have a photo here.
There you go. Show the
Pride of
photo.
America.
Very exciting. And in Norwegian is it's a very big ship, and it's not too big, but it's not too small. It's all American crewed, so we're contributing to the American economy. I know, not Canada, but American economy. But Norwegian is specific that they do what they call freestyle cruising. But because we're doing an exclusive event, this group event with both you and Sissy's followers and fans, we do have assigned dining every day. If you wish to dine with the group, or you can dine with the other complimentary dining as well as specialty restaurants, which is up to 12 total restaurants on board the ship. Now, Norwegian, the group that we have on board, what they get is the 7 nights on Norwegian Cruise Lines in the stateroom accommodations that they receive or book, and then any of the complimentary venues where you eat, which is a total about 6. There is no convenience. They call it a convenience fee, basically a gratuity fee. If you do choose to do any of the specialty restaurants, then you pay a fee of anywhere between $15 to $25. Now, with our rate, the ocean view as well as the balcony, where the ocean view gets one dinner of a specialty restaurant, and then the balcony gets two, and then also a $25 shore excursion credit that can be used for any of the excursions that Norwegian has at any of the islands. Unique thing about this cruise is that we stay overnight in a couple of places, and that is not very common with the other cruise lines. So you really, really get that Hawaiian experience. It's everything on board is Hawaii. They talk about the history, they bring in Hawaiian shows, etc. And then, of course, you get to spend time with Sissy and Karen. Our rate also includes gratuities, which is the service charge, is what they say for the housekeeping and things like that. On-board entertainment is all included, and then they have age-appropriate facilities for kids. So if anybody has kids that would like to have a family vacation, they have babysitting that's included. So that's a very unique thing that's nice to have. And then this also includes any meet and greets that we have with Karen and with Sissy. The rate starts for an inside cabin at $29,2883 and can go as high as $37.95 for a balcony, depending on what type of balcony. Another thing that's unique about Norwegian is they do tend to do variety of pricing. Even if you're in the mid of the ship, it's cheaper always to be in the aft or the front part and lower. And then as each deck you go higher, it goes a little more expensive. But our group rate includes very good locations within the ship.
I have a picture. I just showed a picture of the inside cabin. I'm just going to put up a picture here of the ocean view. No, this is the balcony. This is a balcony stateroom. And then we have a picture here of the ocean view stateroom. So these are also the brochure and, of course, on their website.
And I also forgot to mention that in our fare, it also includes your drink package, which is beers, spirits, cocktails, liquors, frozen drinks, wines, your sodas, your bottled water, your specialty coffees. That's all included in our fares. And I do have to make it aware for everybody that to be able to participate in the exclusive groups events that we have with Karen and Sissy, it does have to be booked through our agency. And you'll always check. I'll give you a little tip, everybody. It may look like it's cheaper when you go to Norwegian, directly to Norwegian, but after you do adding all of the gratuities, the drink packages and everything, it is far more expensive than if you were going through our exclusive group rate. So just an FYI there, because the cruise lines tend to do what they call a bait and switch. That's what it's called. But I never said that. If somebody says I said that, I will deny it. Okay?
That's when they say it's X amount of dollars and get the other one for half price, but then
Correct.
Add in everything else on top of it.
Absolutely. They do also, when we get closer to the departure, they will also add, they'll have airfare that we could book through the cruise lines. And we always investigate that to make sure it is the most competitive and beneficial. Norwegian does things a little different than, let's say, some other cruise lines. And John, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you want to enlighten a little bit on the airfare so that people know that don't rush to get the airfare? We're there to hold their hands all the way through. But what does Norwegian usually do?
Right, with Norwegian's second person flies free. Your first person plays a cost plus, and then the add-ons come in as you could have 3+ stops before you get to Hawaii, and you could do red eyes. So they're not as attuned to great departure times and arrival times as other cruise lines have allowed us to do. These are pretty much outside the norm that we've done with, but we can also look at what the best rates are, compare them with one of our consolidators.
Yeah, so basically, that's why you have a travel advisor to make sure that you're getting the best rates.
Now, this is my third trip with you guys, and I must admit that I didn't realize until like I actually went on a cruise with you how advantageous it is to have one of you guys on the ship with you, because when little problems come up, you've got somebody else advocating for you.
That is true, and our motto, and I think you've heard this a few times during our Q&As on other cruises, is we don't want our guests to be standing in line for anything, because that's not what you paid a good fare for. You're paid to start enjoying your cruise the minute you walk on board the ship. As travel concierge, we do escort all our group trips, and we also anticipate where there could be a problem and get involved and make sure it doesn't become a problem and you don't even know that it could have been a problem. And that's the advantage of us being on board.
And you both have different skill sets.
Karen, why don't you say what that is? No.
Well, let's just put it this way. He's former Air Force and I'm former Army. So
Here we go. Here we go.
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we complement each other. John is, of course, the director of operations, and he likes to say that I'm the front of the company. And sometimes I say, no, you do the front of the company. But yeah, we cover it. We're there to CYA for everybody and also to CYA for ourselves.
So with this cruise, this is the class that comes with this cruise. There's no set sewing on board the cruise itself. We're going to have a Zoom class. I think we've already set that date in early October, where Sissy, you're going to talk about fabric and history and what we need to bring.
Yes.
And then we arrive a day ahead of time. Like normally you arrive a day ahead of time just to be sure that you hit the ship, but we're arriving 2 days ahead of time, and we are having a class in the morning, a class in the evening, and then on the day that we leave, we're having a class in the morning. And then we have our final class on the very last day, because this is an exceptional type of cruise in that we don't have any days at sea except for that very last afternoon. We are in port on an island, one of the islands at all times.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an amazing event to combine the quilting class with the cruise, and it's mainly because we'll be visiting every single island. I don't think people realize, believe it or not, that we're 8 islands. There's a whole group of us, and you have, four, I would say, well, 7 major islands, and to visit each island with the costs that they're charging for this cruise is absolutely amazing. Plus, you get the quilting class, and the quilting itself with the history, it's all about the flora, the fauna, the stories. And so when you come to the class and you get to visit these places that the quilts are based on, their stories are based on, you get a more in-depth history of what Hawaiian quilting is about. A lot of the patterns that we have is not just from Oahu. My family originated from Maui and, Kauai. And so we have roots there, and the quilts have roots there. And the women exchange quilts among all islands. And back then you got on a ship to exchange your quilt patterns and visited your family. And so if you've never been to Hawaii and you've never been on a cruise, this is like the best way to see the islands. People come to Hawaii, they only see Maui, or they only go to the Big Island. You're going to be going to Maui, the Big Island, you're going to Kauai, and for me, this is the best way to do it, is on a cruise and quilting, and your restaurants are there, your hotel is there, and it's the best way to do it. I mean, if you can take this trip, I would do it. It's just, I love my island. I was born and raised here. My people are here. My family is here. And even the local people have not seen other islands. they they stay on their one island and they don't move. But it's beautiful. Every island is distinct. It's different. The people are different, and I my favorite island is the Big Island because I think that's such a wonderful local community. But the beauty of the islands is actually Kauai. Kauai is amazing. And especially the Napali Coast, which I hear you're going to see on the very last day.
Yeah.
And we just had a quilter in our class who was on that podcast that you and I did, Karen. And she was here just last week and she just emailed me this morning saying she just got off the cruise. She had a wonderful time and she says everybody should do it. And she says, but that last day, seeing the Napali Coast was the highlight of her trip.
Wow.
Because not everyone will see the Napali Coast, especially by ship. It's a very rare sight that you ever see that in person. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And maybe we can make quilt designs on what we see when we travel each island.
Well, I visited Hawaii shortly after I was married. My husband and I went on a trip around the world, and we could only afford to do Oahu. We couldn't do any of the other islands, but there were so many wonderful things to do in Oahu, from Nanaimo Bay and the Paw Lookout and all the different parts of the coast and everything. My husband and I are having our children come on board this time.
Oh,
So
how wonderful.
all four of my kids plus two partners, and we will all be on board this time because we just thought it was one of the best places on earth to visit. Now, Ray, we're getting some questions here about the cost of the trip. So,
Yes, I see that.
Can you talk about
Real quick, I want to address something else too so that everybody understands this. The way Norwegian has put the itinerary together right now, and please know that that's all subject to change sometimes without notice, and then they'll notify us again. But we stay overnight in Maui, and we stay overnight in Kauai. Now, staying overnight in Kauai is very unusual for a cruise ship. So that is very unique, and I'm really looking forward to that. So you have a lot more time in the hot spots of Hawaii, which is very unique. Now, the price, if you're going on single, it's not always double because the cruise lines do tend to work with us. So that's why it's always inquire with us, contact us, and can send you the information, we'll give you the pricing, and it's subject to change in availability until you're booked, but not always is single occupancy double. Sometimes they do a little deal and it's not always advertised. So we always say, if you want to go and you want to do a single occupancy, go ahead and always at request. Roommates, we have a Facebook group that Karen has put together. If you're looking for a roommate and you've inquired with us, we will send you the link also to the Facebook group. That's the best place to meet other people that may be looking for a roommate. And if we know somebody that has already inquired and give us their booking request and they're just waiting for a roommate, what we'll do is we'll introduce the two parties via email, and you decide, talk, and if you feel like you want to be roommates, then you just tell us, and then we process the reservations that way. The cost that's on the flyer, that is cost per person, double occupancy.
And
did I cover it?
Yeah, and the dates of the cruise are October.
Departure of the cruise is October 28th. Now, if you're planning to do the class, then you're going to fly in 2 nights before, right?
Yeah, the 26th.
The 26th. Those that don't want to do the class on the island, you can actually fly in the same day. We caution you not to do that because if you do have a delay and you haven't booked the cruise or booked the flights through us that we booked with Norwegian, if the airlines Delta, United, American, Air Canada, or WestJet, somebody gets delayed and you don't arrive in time, they're not going to do anything for you. So if you're going to fly in the day of the cruise, which you technically can because it doesn't depart until 7 o'clock, and you can get into Hawaii at least a couple of hours before 7 o'clock. we'll take care of that for you and let you know what your options are. But other than that, you can do 1 day or 2 days before. And the hotel that you would be staying at is the Hilton Hawaiian Village Resort. And we will be advising where the classes will be held. We're hoping that we'll be there, or we would like to do something special for the group and is actually have the class be held at the Palace in Honolulu. What's the name of the palace, Sissy? I don't want
Palace.
to butcher the name.
Yeah, Iolani Palace. It's the only palace in the United States.
Correct. And it's really unique because you can see the history there, how the English affected the way of dress and all kinds of things there. It's really, really wonderful.
And you have the Queen's quilt in one of the rooms there that she made with her friends.
Wow.
Now, Auntie R has said that she's bringing her husband who is not a quilter. And I am going to stand up and say that that is absolutely fine. My experience now on these cruises is that the guys have a great time together. Everybody meets at dinner. There's lots of conversation, lots of common themes, and a lot of the men, the partners, enjoy the cruise just as much. Now, I believe we had somebody interested. Our first male quilter was interested in the cruise.
Yes.
Hopefully, John will book.
Yes, it would be great.
Yeah.
And then, yes, you do fly into Hawaii, Nancy, to board the ship. It's a round trip out of Honolulu.
And all costs are in US dollars.
Deldra wants to know, are your port activities on your own or as a guide or group?
So currently they're on your own, but with Sissy is coming on board, and Sissy and Ray, a different Ray, is coming on board. And what I found in Alaska is that there are some excursions people go out on, but they come back early, and then people gather and they find where the textile places are, whether it be a fabric store or a museum or a craft store or whatever, and we begin to gather and go see those together. So it's just so easy to travel with people. I'm not sure if there's anybody here from Panama, but we had a lot of people who traveled single to Panama, and it took a couple of days before they got comfortable, but they were all packed by the end. It was just lovely, and it's lovely every time. I think it's just the way of quilters. We all have quilting in common, and before you know it, you want to be. It's just so easy to be with other people. And Sissy and Ray coming on. They're may have some insider information.
Yeah, there's quilt shops on Maui, and Kauai has a wonderful kapaia stitchery there. And the Big Island, the Kona area, they have a quilt museum, and they do have an amazing quilt shop there also if you're looking for Hawaiian fabric.
Okay. I've turned up my mic. Hopefully that will help. I just got a new mic and a new setup.
There you go.
I'm moving a little bit
that's
closer.
better.
Much better.
Okay, so I've got this little thing in the way, but it's
looks fabulous.
Got it.
Auntie Handmaid has asked if we have single rooms on the ship. Unfortunately, on this ship, there are no single rooms. So if you do go single, you'll be in a room that's made for two people.
And then Joyce, the price does not include the 2 nights or the 1 night, whatever you choose for the class pre-cruise.
Now, I have 2 sons that are traveling single. I have had to pay a surcharge for them because but I put them in an inside cabin.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, that's funny. So approximate prices for the one night before getting on the ship is 265 per person. 2 nights is 475, and 3 nights is 675. And of course, all subject to availability at the time of booking.
Roxanne Sexton has asked, do the classes do a Hawaiian quilt? So, Sissy, maybe you can describe
Yeah,
what we're
we're
actually going to
going to do a 22 by 22 square cushion or wall hanging. And the reason why is that to do a full size quilt, it takes about 9 months to a year. And to even do a wall hanging, it takes 3 months. So we're going to try and get the cushion done. I'm going to do everything I can to tell you when we meet on the Zoom. What you need if you want to get started, even before you get here to Hawaii. And so our goal, or my goal, is to at least get that cushion top or wall hanging completed before you leave.
And I understand on the last day, you're going to also follow through with some steps on if we want to do a bigger project like the wall hanging or a quilt. What
Yes,
are the next
yes,
steps?
yes.
So,
So we want to basically give you the information if you want to make a bigger quilt, which is the wall hanging or the full size quilt. The techniques are the same for a cushion. It just, you have to adapt to working with a larger size piece because everything is done by hand with the Hawaiian quilt.
right.
Yeah.
So, Auntie R has asked, will we be lucky enough to see humpback whales?
Humpback whales, the season starts. It's they come during the winter, and I actually just looked that up a couple days ago because I wanted to know that too. Because being on a ship, if I can see the whales, that would be just amazing. And they say they do start coming in October, more toward the end of the year. But if you're lucky, yes, you will be able to see some whales.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting.
Well, it was exciting when we went to Alaska to see the whales, but then we saw them in Panama too. And we had dolphins beside the ship, and we had turtles and seals, and it was just delightful. But the humpback whales, that would be phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
Hawaii is beautiful, and it's not that you're going to be on a ship and then you're going to go on land. Our beaches are beautiful.
and
Stay
no
on the.
snakes, right?
No.
There are no snakes in Hawaii, none whatsoever. None. That's why when we go to the mainland, we're always looking for snakes.
And they also have the trade winds blowing, so it's not that hot mugginess from Panama.
Oh my gosh.
So Merlene Manley has asked, what is the availability of being able to sew off hours? So we don't have any sewing machines, but I've asked John and Ray if there's a place on the ship where we can gather every day with our projects to work on them with Sissy and get some guidance if we need it in the ongoing project, and they do. So those are just going to be not ad hoc, but as the days go along, we'll let you know where those places are.
Yeah,
Now, go ahead.
before we board the ship, we'll have everybody a schedule of where the meet and greets are on board the ship and on what days. And they're not going to conflict with the first days of going for the multiple days where we overnight if you're doing excursions and things like that. We keep that in mind.
So I've got some pictures here, so I'm just going to show you some of the possible excursions. I'm sure we all grew up on the Brady Bunch goes to Hawaii, but just in case. There is, of course, the outrigger. This is a luau. And then we have the outrigger canoes. Those are in Waikiki, but I presume that they're in more than one place. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot of horseback riding also available in Hawaii. And this is a Waikiki from the water. We all know about surfing. I'm not sure where and how many surfing lessons you can get, but I'm sure that's available. And we have Hawaii, I should say pineapples, the pineapple plantations and everything. and then the Hawaiian Gardens. There's more than one type of forest, and I am very pleased that the park is open. Like the national park on Hawaii is open again for tourism, because that has been on my bucket list since I was a little girl. And I couldn't do it the last time I was in Hawaii, and I've been devastated. And finally, what is it, 40 years later, I will be able to do that. Joyce Hermans has asked, are there any excursions included, or are they pay as you go? They are nothing, none of the excursions are included, because everybody wants to do different things, different levels of mobility. That was also a big thing when we went to Panama. I travel with a husband who has accessibility issues, so we were able to choose excursions for low mobility, and they worked out really well. And when we heard about some of the excursions that other people went on, we were very happy that we didn't choose those, because they would have been very challenging for them. So, but this time I'm traveling with my children. They're going to be climbing mountains. Two of them are bringing their climbing gear. One wants to do surfing. Another one's doing snorkeling and scuba. So lots of variety of different things that you can do.
And very unique on this one, because we're staying overnight in Kauai, is you have the Waimea Canyon of Kauai, which stretched like 14 miles long, 1 mile wide, 3,600 feet deep. It's supposed to be the Grand Canyon of Hawaii.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, because I haven't been that, only flown over it.
Have you seen it, Sissy?
Yes, I have, and it's absolutely beautiful. And hopefully we won't get fog that day, because sometimes it does get fogged in. But yeah, we'll just pray it's a beautiful day, and because it's an amazing canyon.
Now,
Sissy, we'll do a Hawaiian chant before the night
Okay,
before.
I'll do it for you.
so this is a special cruise. Like, I know John and Ray, I insisted that we do this one because it went to all the islands. Because a lot of boats don't do as many stops
Hawaii.
as we do.
Yeah.
And they don't do Kauai. So this is good. You're going to be in a special group of people that will have done all these islands. So we've been at this for over a half an hour. Is there any more questions? Now, if you're looking for more information, we have, let me just grab this here, home. You can go to my website, and if you scroll down to Hawaiian Cruise, you can just click on Join Me Aboard, and that will take you to this page. And if you click on this, you'll get one of the brochures. If you click on Book Now, you'll be connected to Ray and John's RGE Travels website, where you can book. That's how I booked my children. You can ask a question if there's a question that comes up that we haven't covered here. And if you click on here, you get a brochure of the class that Sissy is teaching. So that is my website. I've put it into the chat a couple of times. I've also put it into the video description notes.
Nancy Engelhardt, the cruise itself is, they call it 8 days, but the 8th day you're coming back to Honolulu at 7 a.m. So it's technically 7 nights.
But that also gives you the day, the final day, to do something in Hawaii. Like, we're planning, my family's planning to go to Pearl Harbor that day, because we don't fly out on our flight until like 11 o'clock at night. So you've got a full other day to do something.
Merlene Manley is asking, is the project all hand sewn?
Yes, it is. It's all hand sewn, applique all the way to the quilting.
Ooh,
So you don't need to
applique.
bring your sewing machine.
Now, do you know of anybody, Sissy, who has taken their applique and used their machine to sew down or embroidery?
Yes, I have. I've seen Hawaiian quilt patterns that were done by machine, and they can come out beautiful, if that's the style that you prefer. But you can't, like, I think you know that you can't duplicate a quilting stitch on a sewing machine,
Yeah.
and even hand applique, it can't be duplicated on a sewing machine.
So if they try this and they get frustrated and they don't, or their arthritis
Break
kicks
out,
up or
break
whatever,
out that sewing machine.
when they get home, they can
I mean,
sew it
we
down.
have we have quilters who actually did a full applique, and actually we have some quilters who bring their family's quilts that maybe their mother or aunt died and they no longer want to finish it, and I just say get it
Get it
quilted by
done.
machine. Just get it quilted by machine. The pattern stays the same. The story's in the pattern. The tradition is in the applique and the quilting, but that is still a beautiful design. It's still a beautiful quilt. If it's not quilted the Hawaiian style, that's fine. You've got a new story to tell. You've got a new history to tell about, grandma quilted, applicated. We couldn't finish it. And then we've done it before. Hawaiian quilting traditionally, yeah, hand sewn, but I've seen people take these patterns and do so much with it, and yeah, that's what it's there for. Yeah.
So, anything else? Anything else here? I think we've covered everything. Sissy, I am so looking forward to this cruise. I'm looking forward to the class. I'm looking forward to meeting you. Um, and yeah, I laughed because when I was on the trip to Panama, I was traveling with some people who had traveled on Norwegian many times, and they were saying, "Oh, you're gonna have a ball."
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited too. I have been to all the islands that we're visiting, so I'm going to get a different perspective from the ocean. But to revisit the islands again, it's not about visiting. It's a spiritual thing for us too. To be there, especially on Maui, where my family came from, and I have family on the Big Island, and it's just amazing to see a different perspective of these beautiful islands.
Well, I
Mm.
appreciate that you're coming on the cruise with us, and you're going to be able to give us that um, indigenous slant on
Maybe
on
I'll
the
teach all
islands.
of you how to chant. No,
Oh, that'll be
Chant.
fun. That'll
We're
be
going to learn
fun.
some.
you
We're going to
play
learn
chant.
some Hawaiian. We're going to learn that there's a difference between different islands, and I think that's just a really important part of the Hawaiian quilting. There's a story behind it. There's a whole history of people, and as you say, the spirit of it that I am just so excited to learn.
Yeah, and I have
So,
a
Karen,
special gift for everybody who's going to be on the trip too, because um, every island has a designated flower. And so I'm going to be sure that before you leave the ship, that you're going to have all 8 flowers. It's going to be 22 by 22, but
mm,
I think it's exciting because you're visiting the islands. You get a pattern of every single flower for each island.
Oh, lovely, lovely,
Yeah.
lovely. Woo!
Yes. So I mean, you get to. I mean, it's a gift if you make the quilt. The cushion size or wall hanging. You can say, "Yes, this is Kauai. That's the island I visited. This is Maui. I also, which is the rose and different flowers." And I think it's a good gift for everybody after the cruise, for them to take with them.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
and
So,
John Barnby just told you, Karen, I think your first male quilter is on board.
excellent.
Welcome, John. Get that registration in. And then Eric Oda, the deadline to book, you can book all the way up until a week before the cruise, but the longer you wait, the less beneficial location of your cabin and a cabin accommodations get. So the sooner you get in, a deposit holds your place, and the final payment is not due until, final payment is due 12 June. So yeah. If you're going to go, decide pretty soon.
Oh boy. So I've been trying to talk my children into taking the quilting class too, but unfortunately they want to climb more. So, but maybe I'll sneak them in there. They're usually um up for a challenge.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
How much was the quilting class?
I think we said 149, but it may change a little depending. And I think the reason why is I need to talk to Ray about is that it included the venue. So if it depends if it's the venue price in there, so we
Okay.
might have to
Okay.
adjust it just a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So, with that, I'm going to say thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate your taking the time to be on this Q&A with us. Um, and I can't wait to see you in October. So I know we'll chat several times before then. Thank you, Ray, for answering all the questions and having all the answers all the time. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Looking forward to seeing everybody.
So, with that, I am going to say goodbye to our guests and I am going to sign off now. Thank you very much, everyone, for being here tonight. This is going to be available on replay on um, the channel. So, don't hesitate, look at it, and be sure to check out a brochure or just ask a question of Ray and John at any time. They're really good with answering when they are. So thank you again for showing up and take care and
Ahoy ho.
see you next time.